A nebula is a giant cloud of dust and gas in space. Some nebulae, more than one nebula, come from the gas and dust thrown out by the explosion of a dying star, such as a supernova. Other nebulae are regions where new stars are beginning to form. Watch this video to learn all about nebulae. A nebula is a giant cloud of dust and gas in space. Some nebulae, more than one nebula, come from the gas and dust thrown out by the explosion of a dying star, such as a supernova. Other nebulae are regions where new stars are beginning to form. For this reason, some nebulae are called star nurseries. These towers of cosmic dust and gas make up part of the Eagle Nebula. These so-called pillars of creation are part of an active star-forming region within the nebula. Credits: NASA, ESA and the Hubble Heritage Team, STSCI, Aura, where a nebulae. Nebulae exist in the space between the stars, also known as interstellar space. The closest known nebula to Earth is called the Helix Nebula. It is the remnant of a dying star, possibly one like the Sun. It is approximately 700 light-years away from Earth. That means even if you could travel at the speed of light, it would still take you 700 years to get there. How do stars form in a nebula? Nebulae are made of dust and gases, mostly hydrogen and helium. The dust and gases in a nebula are very spread out, but gravity can slowly begin to pull together clumps of dust and gas. As these clumps get bigger and bigger, the gravity gets stronger and stronger. This landscape of mountains and valleys, speckled with glittering stars, is actually the edge of a nearby, young, star-forming region called NGC 3324 in the Carina Nebula. Captured in infrared light by NASA's James Webb Space Telescope, this image reveals for the first time previously invisible areas of star birth. Credits: NASA, ESA, CSA, and STSCI. Eventually, the clump of dust and gas gets so big that it collapses from its own gravity. The collapse causes the material at the center of the cloud to heat up, and this hot core is the beginning of a star. Blog Space Center Houston > blog education What is a nebula? What is a nebula? March 19, 2020. Education: Space is big. Science is cool. So let's talk about it. In this series, we'll take a quick tour through a science or space topic and give you an overview with some cool pictures. Today's topic is all about a nebula. What is a nebula? A nebula is an enormous cloud of dust and gas occupying the space between stars and acting as a nursery for new stars. The roots of the word come from Latin nebula, which means a mist, vapor, fog, smoke, exhalation. Nebulae are made up of dust, basic elements such as hydrogen and other ionized gases. They either form through clouds of cold interstellar gas and dust or through the aftermath of a supernova. For example, in the Carina Nebula, hot, young stars erode and sculpt the clouds into this fantasy landscape by sending out thick stellar winds and scorching ultraviolet radiation. The low-density regions of the nebula are shredded while the denser parts resist erosion and remain as thick pillars. In the dark, cold interiors of these columns, new stars continue to form. In the process of star formation, a disk around the protostar slowly accretes onto the star's surface. Part of the material is ejected along jets perpendicular to the accretion disk. The jets have speeds of several hundreds of miles per second. As these jets plow into the surround nebula, they create small, glowing patches of nebulosity, called Herbig-Haro (HH) objects. Who discovered it? As with most things in the heavens, many people can claim the title of the discoverer of nebulae. The first mention of it may have been in 964 by Persian astronomer Abd al-Rahman al-Sufi, who wrote about the Andromeda galaxy, noticing a little cloud. Early Arabic and Chinese astronomers also noticed the creation of the Crab Nebula as a result of a supernova in 1054. It wasn't you.